at least have something concrete, reliable, that we can use. And above all, this is an international survey. It will enable us to make important comparison with other countries. We'll have very international indicators which you can easily say, look, when we look at mortality rate between Gambia and within the sub-region, the analysis would be very useful. That's why the figures are important here.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mendy. Now, when we talk of survey, people talk about counting numbers here, but this is a different survey, and we're talking of demographic and health survey. What exactly is this representing?
Thank you, Mr. Njai, for that. Thank you, Mr. Njai, for that question. This Gambia Demographic and Health Survey is different in that we are going to actually collect samples, blood samples from people to measure certain parameters. As Mr. Cham said when he was giving his overview, he said that we are going to look at child mortality, and we are going to look at other health indicators, maternal mortality, for example. And we are going to measure weights and heights, which for children 0 to 6 months, which will give you information on their nutritional status. We are going to do that for children 6 months and 5 years. And then we are also going to measure whether their anemic status, whether their blood is all right or not. And we are going to measure, we are going to check whether they have malaria. We all know that malaria is a burden in this country, and it's responsible for high child mortality in this country. So we are going to check for malaria on the spot. So we'll give you the results. If you are positive, we'll ensure that you are treated. And then we are going to also check for HIV. And we all know that HIV is very important worldwide. Okay? So this survey is different in that we are going to measure all these things. Anthropometric measurements for nutritional status, malaria in the field, anemia, and HIV.
Okay. Now, in a nutshell, you're talking about the prevalence rate of diseases in the Gambia through this demographic and health survey also. But when you look at the type of survey that you are going to do, would it be an open survey in a sense that the one you're taking the sample from would know exactly his health status from that blood sample? I want that thing very clear.
When we collect samples for anemia, we give you the result on the spot. And if the patient, if subject is anemic, the subject is referred to a health facility for medical treatment. When we collect samples for malaria, we also give you the result on the spot.
Okay. Now that means everybody who come forward for this survey, your individual result will be known to you.
Not all results. It is important to state that we are checking for the prevalence of HIV in the country.
Specifically.
We are also checking for the prevalence of HIV.
Okay.
But the HIV results will not be known to anybody. And it cannot be linked back to the subject. It will be completely anonymous, and we are going to barcode them so that nobody can link the HIV result to the survey subject.
Okay.
And it is important for the population to know that, because we are seeking for their cooperation so that we can get quality data. As Mulunjai said, we are looking for quality data. And unless people are cooperative and allow their blood samples to be collected to test for these diseases, we will not know accurately what the disease prevalences are, and that will hamper government planning for health.
Good. Coming back to you, Mr. Njai, this is such an important promotion here. What do you expect from Gambians?
Actually, as I said, Gambians are tolerant, are well known of being tolerant, and also well known of being receptive. And I know surveys like that, they've been involved in it. like where surveys involves, sample collection. And I'm sure, like Minister of Health used to do some small scale surveys like that. MRC used to do that, but I'm sure they are used to that. But what is important here is for us, as Pa has really mentioned, there'll be sample collection for anemia, also for testing for anemia, malaria, and also for HIV. And I see that when people think about HIV, they might think otherwise. Yeah. They might think, well, no, let me not be part of the survey. But we're just trying to tell them that even those collecting the sample for HIV don't even know the people, there'll be a barcode, for example, and they will not even know that who have been tested for what, and whether this person is positive or negative, they will not even know. They're the ones who are doing the collecting. They just take it to the laboratory, and the laboratory will do and the barcode is only known to the person doing the analysis, and they will not even go back to that person to tell you that this is your HIV status. They will not even know that. So as I say, it's anonymous. Nobody knows your status. But for malaria, they will refer those people to the health facility for proper treatment. And also for anemia, if you know that somebody's anemic, due to certain conditions, it could be in a worm infestation or whatever, this person will also be referred to the health facility for proper screening and treatment. And I think because if somebody's anemic, we don't only look for treatment, we only go in further to screen. But what we want to make very clear here is to make sure that people understand the fact that there will be sample collection, and people should not be frightened. People should not be threatened about. People should not be worried about that. It's something that we are used to, and then we are just like normally when you go to the health facility. Like the doctors will tell you, go to the lab for testing, and then you just go and do your normal test. But when people hear about the word HIV, this is what people are worried, and want to make, and we want to alleviate their fears that there is no worries about this. The people collecting the sample will not even know their status. The people they are collecting the blood samples from, and much more they themselves, because it's anonymous. They will even, in fact, nobody will know the person's status. But for anemia, we want to know, because we want to treat people for anemia, so that we also know the number of people who have been treated for anemia, and also for malaria. Also, we want to know the number of subjects that have been treated for malaria. Okay. So we want people to be very much informed about this, and they'll be seeing people going to the households, and they'll be conducting interviews. And as part of the interviews, after the demographic profile, as part of the interview, they'll also be asking them to give information on certain indicators, and from there then they'll start collecting samples. And that sample collection should definitely be accepted by everybody in this country, because we want to look at, we want to know everybody's health status. And if you want to know somebody's health status, you must have to go deeper to look for more and more information. Exactly. So this is what we are doing.
I think that's very important, because it's also one way of trying to contribute your own quota to national development in a different atmosphere here. Because when you come forth and give your blood sample for testing, and the prevalence rate of some of these diseases are known, I think at the end of the day, government is still going to come back to you and also help you in that aspect, and know how best to focus on more, important, drugs. Now, I come back to Mr.
Like before you go to Mr. Cham, like most of our HIV indicators are based on sentinel surveillance. So, and I think we want to look at a national coverage, national prevalence of HIV, and we can only know that through the, when we conduct a proper DHS. And having a proper DHS meaning people must have to participate. And then they help us to give us the information, the right information, accurate information, and also right samples are collected, and then they're taken for screening, and then we know where we are as a country, rather than relying on sentinel surveillance.
Very good. I think participation here is very pivotal, and I encourage Gambians, myself, and everybody, starting from the top to the bottom, to go out and participate in this, survey. Coming back to you, Mr. Cham, when is the survey starting exactly, and when is it going to end? And are you guys going to come, at people's homes and stuff like that? What is exactly going to be like?
Yeah, Mr. Njai, that's a very important question. The survey preparation started way back in 2011, when the instruments and all other documentations were made available together with the work plan. The survey was in stages, and stage one was the mapping and the listing exercise, which was completed in September last year. And we are getting to the second stage of the survey, which is going to be collecting the data from the communities. This is going to start on Saturday, 2nd February 2013. And I'm making a special appeal on behalf of the government, on behalf of the Statistician General of the Gambia Bureau of Statistics, to all potential respondents so that, I mean, they can come forward